Okay, what I have here is my full tent set up, the rain fly, the tent, the footprint, and I have all the stakes out where they would be had this been in the grass. I have dogs, so it's not a good idea to set up your tent in the backyard when you have dogs. You know, just a little something to remember there. So then also I have over here everything that I would have inside my tent. My sleeping mattress, which is an X-Bed Deluxe 9, a Campmore sleeping bag, a X-Bed pillow, the miscellaneous bags that the tent and everything goes into. And then for this demonstration, I have a Twisted Throttle dry spec 38 bag. This is a great bag. It's got an internal hard plastic, feels like plastic, I'm not sure what it is, liner, and it's got snaps inside to keep the liner in place. And basically it's a nice structure, so you can put stuff in there and you don't have to really fill it up. It's just a really nice bag, and it's got a lot of tie down points. The way this one's situated, you can actually have your straps on the bike, and you can kind of use this as a top box. You don't have to unstrap everything, just the top roll down to get to your stuff. So it's a pretty nice bag. It's a little spendy, but you know, it's high quality stuff, and it's really made well. So this is the bag I'll be putting it into. First thing I'm going to do is show you, here's my pillow. It's an X-Bed pillow. These are great pillows. It's got a little deflate thing. They're comfortable. You air them up to about 75%, and it gives you a little cushion. And then the nice part is you just fold them over a little bit, a couple times, scrunch them down, and they fit into this little, this tiny little sack that's, gosh, it's about the size of half of a Red Bull can. Shove that in there, and that packs away nice and small. So there's one item. Now, when I pack a tent up, this is the last stuff I do. I get the tent going, I get inside, and then I unpack my stuff. That way, if it's raining, I'm protected. In the morning, when it's ready to leave, when I'm ready to go, first thing I do, I start unpacking my stuff. And everything will go into this bag while I'm in the tent, and it comes out of this bag while I'm in the tent. Unless, of course, it's great weather outside, then I got all the time in the world, it doesn't really matter. Another nice aspect to this bag is because of its structure, you put it next to you while you're sleeping, you kind of have almost a table, a nightstand to put your glasses, your phone, a clock, you know, whatever you need to kind of set next to you that's a little bit high. It's kind of convenient in that aspect. I actually put a watch that I strap onto this, and that way I can always just reach over and see what time it is. I know I shouldn't be worried about time while I'm riding and camping, but I can't help it. So there we go, there's a pillow. That's one item. Next, we'll work on the sleeping bag. Now this is a outdoor research compression bag. I showed in one of the other videos. It's got basically two compartments. The lower one, which is more like a traditional in-cap style compression bag. What I'll do is I'll put this sleeping bag in here. It packs small enough where it'll work with this and not, you know, and actually come out with a pretty good result. So there we go. You know, there's the sleeping bag packed in basically half of that bag, which is not bad. That's a pretty good little area. And it's still got quite a bit of compression left to it. So there's that bag. Now, what I have is the X-Bed mattress. Typically, you can roll them up, you're not really going to compress them much when they don't have any air in them, and they'll fit in, you know, a bag like that they come in, which just happens to be about the right size for the top half of this bag. So it makes things really convenient. So that's what I'll do. Okay, so now I've got my X-bed mattress packed up, and it will slide right into this without much effort at all. Then what I do is I will push down on it, because once you roll it over, it's a pretty airtight container, so it's not going to give much. So, get some of the air out. Roll it over, just like your traditional roll top bags. Oh. And then you just start pulling a little bit on each corner, and it'll start to compress just a little more. And you'll get it to, I mean, you don't have to compress it as much as it'll go. You just need to compress it as much as you need to. Now that is my about 30 degree sleeping bag and my X-bed air mattress. And that mattress is good to some ridiculous temperature. If I'm camping in that temperature, there better be a helicopter looking for me because something's wrong. So that's going to keep me insulated from the ground quite well. So there you go. Now, I put that in the dry slip bag, and it will basically cover about half that bag. Throw a pillow in there, and now I've got all of my sleeping material in its own waterproof case, as well as in a waterproof bag. So now I can take this bag outside, roll it a little bit, and it can be pouring rain and just sit there, and I'm good. And then I just have to concentrate on the tent. So this is really the most important thing to keep dry. The rest, it doesn't matter, it'll dry out once you set it up as far as the tent's concerned, except in the most extreme conditions, in which case, you know, you're probably going to take a break anyhow. So 99% of the time, you know, this approach is going to work for you. Okay, so as far as taking a tent down, you know, I don't have the stakes in the ground, but typically what I'll do is I'll pull one stake up, and sometimes the ground's pretty tough. So I'll turn the stake over, and I'll use one of the stakes to hook another one that might be in the ground kind of tight, because you can hurt your fingers pretty easily trying to pull some of these out sometimes, especially if you're using a rock to get them in there to make a nice secure a secure point for your tent. So it really helps to just kind of, you can do that, or you know, you can put your finger in front of the hook as well to help, and that really has helped me just take the tent stakes out quickly. So first thing you're going to do is take all those out. Okay, so you got all your tent stakes. You know, at this point you're really just taking your time. Even if it's raining, nothing's getting wet. You're all good. You don't really have to rush. And once you do this a few times, you can do it, you know, you can set your tent up and take it down in probably, as far as the actual tent, you know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. You know, 5 minutes if you're in a hurry. I've never timed myself. I just know that it's not that big a deal because I've done it about 100 times. Okay, so there, tent stakes. Now you unhook your tent. Every tent's a little different. Some have clips, some have pins. Some, this one's actually, there's a couple spots on the other side that actually allow you to Velcro the rain fly to one of the tent poles just so it doesn't flap or move around as much. I don't always use it, just depends on how windy it is. If you have, you know, if it's real windy, you might need to tie off these extra points with some guy lines, and I mean, I've never been anywhere where it's been that bad. Again, that's probably one of those things where I just take a break and go somewhere else. So that's rain fly. I usually pull it off at the center, and that's like a flying line. So here, and they call these a stuff sack for a reason. You can roll your tent, you can stuff it in here. You know, there's arguments either way about which is best, and basically the best way is whatever works for you. That's all that matters. You know, if the tent lasts 10 years or 5 years, it's probably going to give you more payback. So who cares if you have to buy another one? So I just shove it in there. Now I do the fly first, not only because it comes off the tent first, but because it's the order that I'm going to set up the tent in the first place. So it all, you know, pretty much makes sense. Now one thing I typically do with a tent like this, that is freestanding type tent, is I take this time, you know, if it's not raining, it's not too windy, I'll take it and I'll clean the tent out. I'll simply turn it on its side and shake some dust out. A lot of times you'll find out there's a flashlight in there you forgot to pack on your bike. Maybe even a wallet, worst case scenario. So once you do that, zip it back up, and then you're just unhooking it. You know, every tent's going to have its different types of setup. You may have 2 poles, you may have 6 poles. But at this point is when you're kind of rushing a little, because if it is raining, you know, you'd like to keep this part of it as dry as you can. And this is where things get kind of wild sometimes. Tent poles, the aluminum ones like this, the shock corded, I've always heard it's best to split them in the center. That way you're stressing out that shock cord the least amount. It's not always easy to do, but go practice like everything else. There are my tent poles, nice and tidy. Tent poles, tent stake. My actual tent, I usually fold it over, pick it up in the middle, kind of like the fly, and start shoving it in. And there you go, there's the tent. Now, as far as the ground fly, this one gets a little tricky because you don't know. Sometimes it's wet on the top, sometimes it's wet on the bottom, sometimes it's perfectly dry. So I usually, the part that's wet I fold in on itself just so it kind of stays wet with the ground cloth and it doesn't seep into anything else. Once you stop at your next location or you get home and you set it out in the garage to dry, which you should do after every trip, otherwise it's going to get moldy. I think even this, oh, I missed a mistake, there you go. Even this has a little mold on it, a couple spots, I think they're mold, where I maybe got home and didn't set it out to dry fast enough. And, you know, I probably let it sit a week, so I wasn't too smart there. Sometimes it's hard to take your own advice. So, you can fold this any way you want. Doesn't really matter. Some folks will put this inside this bag. You can, you don't have to, whatever works for you. If it's wet, I would say put it in here to keep it away from everything else you have. So we'll go with that solution for this one, in which case you probably pack it a little different. You probably fold it in a little square. But it should all fit in the bag the tent came in without too much effort. Now, we pull out this dry spec bag. We're just going to pretend we didn't see the stake that didn't go through, okay? There we go. What stake? Okay, so, go to last. Now, what you do is you push your tent in the bag, and then I'll typically put my tent stake right in between so there's not too much pressure on them. I mean my tent poles, tent stakes, there's still quite a bit of room in there. Throw some candles in there, just for good measure. So I've got my pillow. I basically have my entire hotel room in this dry spec bag, and it's waterproof. And that's it. You know, and that's going to fit just fine on the back of any bike, on the back seat, on the racks. You know, it's a nice package. Now, let's say you want a little more room. Maybe that takes up, you know, you have some more stuff you want to bring. Something I've been doing lately is Twisted Throttle makes another dry spec bag, an additional one that I really like. I will take the tent out of here. And this is the dry spec 28 from Twisted Throttle. Now this one, it rolls on both ends. So it's pretty versatile. You can put your tent in there, your poles, your stakes, and you still have room to put several other things. Now the nice part of this, and Twisted Throttle, this actually snaps on the side. Twisted Throttle actually talks about this on the website. They've got a great video review of this. But the nice part about this bag, it straps onto this one just great. And because of how these straps are, you can actually, while it's strapped to the bike, unclip these and get in here. So if you want to shove some rain gear in there additionally, you can do that. This one's extended a little far. This one still has about maybe 2-3 more inches to go out this way. So, you know, I haven't even used the capacity of this. One thing I like about it is I put all my tent stuff in here. So no matter how wet that gets, you know, it's in a different container in a different area. Now that being said, I've never had a problem with this approach in one bag and getting anything wet. It's always been perfectly dry. I've never had any issues. You know, this just makes some things a little more convenient. And the nice thing about this also is now that leaves half of this open. So if you want to bring cooking gear or some additional clothes, you know, additional rain jackets, whatever you want to bring, you know, maybe you're riding 2 up, just gives you a little more flexibility with how much you can bring and how much stays waterproof. And I found that I'm pretty sure I can load just this and just that and not even need saddlebags on my bike. So, you know, that gives me the versatility of riding some of the dual sport bikes, the bikes who don't come with saddlebags. This system alone is just really, really nice and one of the best I've ever seen. And I've looked at so many and tried out a couple of them, and just the waterproofness, you know, it combines the versatility of both straps with that tough waterproof bag construction. And I mean, this has been through a monsoon this past weekend, so I can tell you it definitely did not leak 1 drop. So anyway, I hope that helps everybody. I think that's the end of this video segment. Bye-bye.